For decades, the skies above our military bases, our airports, and our oceans have carried more than just aircraft. Pilots have filed reports they can't fully explain. Radar operators have tracked objects that defy the laws of physics as we understand them. Governments have opened investigations, then closed them, then reopened them again. Some of that footage has been leaked. Some of it has been released by the Pentagon itself. All of it remains in some way a mystery. On November 14, 2004, a U.S. Navy fighter pilot flying off the coast of San Diego locked eyes on something that shouldn't have existed. A smooth, white, oval object with no wings, no exhaust, and no visible means of propulsion, dropping from 80,000 feet to sea level in less than a second. 15 years later, the U.S. government would confirm the footage was real. It still hasn't explained what the object was. Before we go through the 10 videos that started this conversation, consider subscribing. It helps this channel keep making deeply researched investigations, and you won't miss the next case file. This is the story of 10 videos filmed by Navy pilots, airport security cameras, warship crews, and even NASA astronauts that have never been fully explained. Some have official government analysis behind them. Some were dismissed for years before resurfacing as legitimate military records. Together they form the core of the modern UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena, debate. We'll go through each case in the order they were recorded, what was actually documented, and what still doesn't add up. Our story begins in November 2004, aboard the USS Nimitz carrier strike group, training off the coast of Southern California. Radar operators had been tracking mysterious contacts for 2 weeks. Objects that appeared at 80,000 feet, then dropped to just above the ocean surface almost instantly. On November 14th, Commander David Fravor and his wingman were sent to investigate. What they found, and filmed on infrared, became known as the Tic Tac video. A smooth, oval-shaped object, roughly the size of a fighter jet, with no visible engines, wings, or exhaust plume. Just weeks later, on the same deployment, 2 more Navy air crews recorded separate encounters. The first, filmed by an FA-18 targeting pod, became known as GIMBAL, showing an object that appeared to rotate against the wind while pilots can be heard reacting in disbelief on the radio. The second, called GoFast, showed a small white object skimming just above the ocean at what analysts initially calculated as extremely high speed, though the Navy later clarified the object's true speed relative to the water was likely much slower than early reports suggested, a detail we'll return to. The Department of Defense didn't confirm any of these videos were genuine until 2020, when the Pentagon officially released them and acknowledged their authenticity, folding them into the formal U.S. government UAP research effort. But the American military isn't alone in capturing footage it can't explain. In March 2004, the Mexican Air Force released infrared video recorded by one of its own surveillance aircraft over the Campeche region, showing 11 unidentified objects on radar and camera that outpaced and outmaneuvered the aircraft's own capabilities. The Mexican Secretary of Defense publicly acknowledged the footage was real, though the objects themselves were never identified. 3 years later, in April 2013, an unidentified object was caught on camera near Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, by a television news helicopter using infrared. The footage, later analyzed by the To the Stars Academy in partnership with a former Pentagon UAP program, appeared to show an object entering the ocean without slowing or creating a splash. Military encounters weren't confined to American shores. In November 2014, a Chilean Navy helicopter captured infrared footage of an object off the country's coast, during a routine patrol. Chile's Committee for the Study of Anomalous Aerial Phenomena, a government body with military and scientific membership, spent 2 years analyzing the footage before publicly stating in 2017 that they could not identify the object using any known aircraft, weather phenomenon, or optical explanation. Space brought its own mystery. In September 1991, during Space Shuttle mission STS-48, a NASA camera recorded a bright object below the shuttle's orbit that appeared to suddenly change direction, followed by a flash of light. NASA attributed the footage to space debris or ice particles reacting to thruster fire. But the sudden angular turn visible in the video has kept the clip circulating among researchers who argue it doesn't match that explanation. Not every case involves the military. In July 2010, air traffic controllers at Hangzhou Xiaoshan International Airport in China halted all incoming and outgoing flights for nearly an hour after an unidentified object was detected in restricted airspace and, according to some reports, photographed by witnesses on the ground. Chinese aviation authorities never released an official identification. Back at sea in July 2019, sailors aboard the USS Russell and other ships in a Navy destroyer squadron reported and filmed multiple drone-like objects with a pyramid-shaped silhouette hovering near their vessels off the California coast over several nights. The footage, taken on a night vision-equipped phone through the ship's big eye binoculars, was later confirmed as authentic by the Navy. Though officials suggested the objects could have been commercially available drones, a possibility the Pentagon has never ruled in or out definitively. And finally, on the night of March 13, 1997, thousands of witnesses across Arizona and into Mexico watched a massive V-shaped formation of lights move silently over the state for nearly 2 hours. Among them was Arizona's sitting governor, Fife Symington. The U.S. Air National Guard confirmed that flares dropped during a training exercise accounted for a second wave of lights seen later that night. But the original, larger V formation reported earlier in the evening has never been officially explained. Across all 10 cases, the explanations tend to fall into familiar categories. Military and government analysts have proposed conventional aircraft, weather balloons, birds, or optical effects from camera equipment for several of the videos. The GoFast footage, for example, was later reassessed by the Navy itself, which noted that the object's apparent extreme speed was likely a visual effect of the tracking pod, not the object's real velocity relative to the ocean below it. Skeptics point out that infrared cameras can create visual distortions, that glare and rotation artifacts can make round objects appear to spin, and that drone technology by the 2000s was advanced enough to explain sightings like the USS Russell pyramids. Government investigators, including Chile's DIFAA and the Pentagon's own All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, have been more cautious, acknowledging in several of these specific cases that no conventional explanation currently fits the recorded data. And the witnesses themselves, Navy pilots with thousands of flight hours, an Arizona governor, air traffic controllers, have consistently described technology and flight characteristics unlike anything in the public aviation record. These aren't grainy photos from decades ago. Several of these videos come from official military sensors, verified by the same governments that recorded them. In 2022, the U.S. Congress held its first public hearing on UAPs in over 50 years. In 2023, a former intelligence officer testified under oath before Congress about the government's handling of these cases. The Pentagon now maintains a standing office dedicated solely to resolving incidents like these. What was once dismissed as fringe speculation is now the subject of formal congressional oversight, precisely because cases like the ones we just covered have never been fully closed. 10 videos, 3 navies, a space shuttle, an international airport, a sitting governor. Each object was filmed, tracked, and in most cases, confirmed as authentic by the very government or military that recorded it. Not one has been given a complete, official, non-speculative explanation. The question isn't whether something was recorded, it's what exactly was flying. If you enjoyed today's investigation, don't forget to subscribe. There are still countless case files, classified reports, and unexplained encounters waiting to be uncovered. Until our next investigation. Thank you for watching.